Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. 2,800 audios available for your listening pleasure. Variety of topics, variety of viewpoints, and hopefully we can give you a little break from the chaos that is the current day modern world. Anyway, as we begin to look at the unnecessary nature of how much wrestling content there is, we continue to hopefully bring about something good in the nature of trying to make it so that you don't have to watch as much stuff that isn't necessarily as impactful, no pun intended, as people believe it could be, would be, should be, all that good stuff. Anyway, SmackDown results from the 24th of June is where we are, and Build the Money in the Bank, which is a needless premium event these days, is here. They recap the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns and Riddle and Brock Lesnar's return from last week. McIntyre segment. It's, I guess, fine. Pierce takes McIntyre and Sheamus out of the Money in the Bank ladder match. They can get their spots back if they defeat the Usos in a tag team match later. This makes no sense because it invalidates the reason to watch on a weekly basis. Anyway, they recap McIntyre versus Sheamus from 2 weeks ago and Pierce putting them in a ladder match last week. McIntyre noted that when he came to SmackDown, he decided to work his way up and earn his title shot. However, no matter how many wins he has, Reigns keeps ducking him. That's because you've got the international thing, and we didn't know how to book 2 months out. McIntyre realizes that he has to win Money in the Bank to earn the title shot. He points out that Lesnar showed up last week and gets the title shot, and that gets a mixed reaction. The Brawling Brutes interrupt this and make their way to the ring. Sheamus doesn't think McIntyre deserves to be in the match. He mentions that Miz cashing in and winning McIntyre's title. Sheamus then adds that when he cashed in, it was against Reigns and he won the title. Sheamus then includes a cash in after SummerSlam main event 2, and then Paul Heyman interrupts. He walks out onto the stage. Pierce slowly walks out behind him. Heyman promises that Reigns would beat Lesnar at SummerSlam. However, Heyman has a problem. Even though Reigns is the greatest of all time, he'll still be vulnerable for cash in after the last man standing match. Heyman is quick to add that Lesnar would be vulnerable too. The fans started booing, and McIntyre notes that he wants to make his point. Heyman then said that Pierce had an announcement. Pierce said that he acted hastily last week, adding them to the ladder match. He noted that McIntyre and Sheamus didn't win or lose the qualifying match. Pierce said that after some influence, McIntyre and Sheamus are no longer in the Money in the Bank ladder match. However, they have a chance to qualify tonight if they can team up and put their differences aside and beat the Usos. This is just poor television. You don't book far enough ahead to make people watch on a regular basis, so you go back on your own stories. Caleb Braxton interviewed Sami Zayn behind the curtain. Zayn praises Reigns and the Usos, even though he thinks it's genius to get rid of McIntyre and Sheamus. Zayn promises to win tonight and win the briefcase. Braxton tries to imply that Zayn would cash in on Reigns. He denied that. McIntyre Money in the Bank qualifier. Sami Zayn defeats Shinsuke Nakamura, 9:53. Not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. Nakamura catches Zayn with an armbar at the bell, follows up with a sliding German suplex on the ropes. Zayn then lures Nakamura to the floor and takes over. He and Nakamura gets hit with a exploder suplex into the barricade. Zayn then tries to win by countout, but Nakamura gets back in the ring. Zayn yells at the referee and then felt he should have won. Nakamura takes advantage, catches Zayn with a small package for a near fall. Zayn then recovers and dumps Nakamura out of the ring, and then back from the break, Zayn is firmly in control. He jumps off the middle turnbuckle, but Nakamura countered with a kick. Zayn then fights back and hits the Michinoku driver for a close 2 count. Zayn then tries to win, feet on the ropes, but the referee catches Zayn, yells at the referee again, and Nakamura rocks Zayn with a knee drop off the middle rope for a near fall. Zayn then rolls out of the ring. Nakamura then goes after and hits the Kinshasa on the floor, rolling Zayn back in the ring because he didn't want to win by countout. And then Zayn takes advantage, hits the Haluva kick, and gets his opponent for the win. New Day versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky, showing the lack of depth on the SmackDown roster. Match Doesn't happen, turns into two angles. Shanky turns on Mahal, dances with the New Day, then the Viking Raiders return to attack the New Day. Fans are into both angles because fans' standards have lowered. New Day notes that they beat Mahal and Shanky last week. They don't do rematches apparently because they didn't hear. Woods plays the trombone and Shanky danced. They played New Day's music and Shanky and New Day danced, getting a loud reaction. Suddenly Viking Raiders music starts to play. Raiders run out of the crowd. They attack. They knocked Shanky out of the ring. Viking Raiders then gave New Day a huge beatdown. In the back, Sonya Deville enters Adam Pearce's office. She mocked Pearce for being in over his head. She also made fun of his wrestling career. She's upset that he wasn't in the Money in the Bank ladder match. She mocks Lacey Evans and Raquel Rodriguez. Pearce then told her that that she had a match with Raquel Rodriguez and Lacey Evans, defeating Sonya Deville with Shayna Baszler and Xia Li. 3 minutes, 6 segments. 6 seconds. Why do you have a 3-minute match? Who knows? Who cares? Heel fighting two faces makes no booking sense, but hey, what do we care? Baszler distracts Rodriguez and Deville gave Evans chop block. Deville then is in control for a short bit of time. Evans fights back. Rodriguez takes over the hot tag, runs wild on Deville. Rodriguez then hits a series of snake eyes and goes for the choke slam bomb, but Baszler caused another distraction. Evans then makes the blind tag and hits the women's right for the win. After the match, the heels jump Rodriguez and Evans. Deville then goes back to Rodriguez and managed a slam. Faces clear the ring, and there we go. In the back, Street Profits walked around and run into Los Lotharios. Drew Gulak and Madcap Moss. Angelo Dawkins tells a joke, but Montez Ford and Moss are not impressed. Natalya and Ronda Rousey's fine segment, I guess. Rousey then gets a big reaction for a couple of lines about Natalya. Rousey's music starts playing and the fans pop. Natalya then walks out dressed like Rousey, and they react even stronger. Back from the break, because we need to go to break before people speak. Rousey's music plays again, but the real Ronda Rousey walks out. She didn't recognize Natalya because her rack wasn't out. Rousey then adds that she's not trying to attain unrealistic beauty standards like Natalya is. That gets a big reaction. Rousey then said the only way Natalya could be the main attraction was by dressing like her. Rousey tries to pull off Natalya's jacket and they brawl. Natalya then tries to hit Rousey with a stroller and takes off. It's just, why? Why is this on national television? In the back, Megan interviews Drew McIntyre and Sheamus about their match. McIntyre and Sheamus argue until Ridge Holland and Butch pull Sheamus back. They announce Undertaker's One Dead Man show the night before SummerSlam. Intercontinental title, Gunther with Ludwig Kaiser defeats Ricochet 307. Hey, they've actually got a feud going. Sad that the matches aren't a little longer. Gunther and Ricochet have a decent enough match while it lasted. Ricochet catches Gunther with a dropkick at the bell. Gunther follows back with a slam. He rocks Ricochet with a knee to the face. Ricochet then tries to fight and hits a takedown. Gunther then blocks and locks in the half crab, switching to the STF, but Ricochet makes it to the ropes. Ricochet then avoids Gunther and goes for the springboard. Gunther comes back in midair and hits German suplex. Ricochet lands on his feet, but Gunther takes over and clotheslines. Finish comes when Gunther hits a shotgun dropkick into a powerbomb for the win. Best match on the show, but that doesn't require much. In the back, Kayla Braxton interviews Paul Heyman about the Usos versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. She wondered if he was doing Lesnar a favor. Sami Zayn interrupts and claims that Braxton twisted his words, and Heyman didn't like any of the comments made here. Money in the Bank qualifying match, Shotzi defeats Tamina 236. Shotzi and Tamina have a match. The crowd's dead for it, and that's because we don't actually have build. McCaffrey notes that Aaliyah is supposed to be in the match but suffered an injury. Shotzi jumps on Tamina's back. Tamina throws her down pretty quickly. Shotzi leaps off the middle turnbuckle. Tamina rocks her with a super kick for a near fall. Shotzi comes back up, recovers, and hits a finisher for the win. Shotzi qualifies for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. We don't need this match by any stretch. They show Max Dupree talking to his clients behind the door. They tease that he'd introduce his clients next. Back from the break, Dupree was in Adam Pearce's office. He's furious that Pearce didn't meet his standards for the dressing room. He refused to reveal his clients until his demands were met. Pearce agreed. Pat McCaffrey challenges Happy Corbin for a SummerSlam match. Basically, he mocks Corbin. They recap Corbin McCaffrey angle from last week. McCaffrey talks about the first time he went into the Thunderdome. He mentioned millions and millions of his fans. He gave a shout at The Rock. McCaffrey then challenged Corbin for a match at SummerSlam. Fans pop for the challenge because they have low standards. Non-title match, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus with Ridge Holland and Butch defeated the undisputed tag team champions Usos 11-10. They do have a good hard-hitting match, but it's honestly a throwaway. Nobody really gets anything from it. They basically are teasing the fact that McIntyre and Sheamus still don't get along. Stipulation for the match is if McIntyre and Sheamus win, they qualify for the Money in the Bank. Street Profits join Cole and McCaffrey on commentary. The babyfaces have the early advantage. Usos take over for a little bit. Sheamus gives Jay 10 beats, and then McIntyre jumps off the apron and beats up Butch. Sheamus then jumps out and brawls with McIntyre. Usos then hit a double dive, wiping out McIntyre and Sheamus. Back from the break, we continue with the heels in charge. Jimmy hits the Rikishi splash on Sheamus. Jay turns his back and argues with Street Profits again. Jimmy then goes for the splash, second time, but Sheamus hits a knee to the face, and ultimately McIntyre gets hot tag, goes nuts, misses a tackle, goes shoulder first into the ring post. McIntyre hits the neck breakers and sets up the Claymore. Usos roll out of the ring. McIntyre chases them. Jimmy hits a super kick. Butch and Holland run back into the ring as they're sent back during the break. Sami Zayn shows up at ringside. He tries to hit the haluva kick on McIntyre. Dawkins jumps up and takes Zayn out with a tackle. Usos and Street Profits arguing at ringside. McIntyre then hits a huge dive onto all four. Sheamus rocks Jay with a brogue kick at ringside. Finish comes when McIntyre goes for the Claymore, but Jimmy hits a super kick instead. McIntyre recovers and hits the Claymore kick for the win. McIntyre and Sheamus qualify for the Money in the Bank, and they end SmackDown. Next week, all participants in the women's and men's Money in the Bank ladder matches will be on SmackDown the night before the show. I don't know why we've gone to Saturday pay-per-views, but we have. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.